We are recording. Okay, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, actually. It's July 23rd. This is Marcy, and I'm here with Marina Bedrossian. She is my wonderful dietitian practicing out of Long Island, New York. And I just thought it would be a great wellness discussion about nutrition and taking care of ourselves and our whole being. Anyway, so I found Marina last summer, actually, right after my hysterectomy, and I was looking to figure out how to make sense out of what felt like an alien body, and figured that nutrition was the best place to begin, since that's the foundation for everything. So I Googled her and then realized that I had been driving past what used to be her office almost every single day for years. And yeah, the universe finally brought me to the place where I was supposed to be. So since then, we've been seeing each other approximately every 2 weeks, maybe every 3 weeks since then. And she's really helped me sort of figure out how to get in touch with what my body needs and how to make myself feel better just by the foods that I eat. So Marina, want to introduce yourself and tell us about how you found your way to being a dietitian?
All right. Well, thanks for having me. I think this entire endeavor is inspiring, and it's just awesome.
I'm glad.
So I started working at a supermarket the day after I turned 14 years old. And I never realized that I was a healthy eater until I started seeing what other people were buying for themselves and their families. Then people would always, friends would be interested in what I was eating, and, oh, you eat so healthy. And what do you mean I eat healthy? What does that mean? This is just the way I eat. This is my family, how we eat. And so I discovered, that's when the whole obesity epidemic was starting.
Sure.
And I realized that there's really a problem, and I can be part of that solution. So I worked at that supermarket for a while, still scoping out what people were doing. But then I decided I'm going to study nutrition. I went to San Diego State University. Paradise.
San Diego's gorgeous.
Oh my gosh. That was just lucky. I knew I wanted to go there. I went there. I got my degree. I did my internship. And then I came back home to New York because I love it so much. My family's here.
Sure.
And then I always knew I wanted my own practice. So right away, I started my own practice, and I never looked back.
So you've known that you wanted to do this, and this has been your goal since you were 14 or thereabouts. That's pretty amazing that you've been so laser focused. I had this serpentine career path and no idea what I wanted to do. So I admire the goal, the focus of that. That's great.
I think it's in my blood. Yeah. There's something about me that I tend to operate that way. So sometimes it works out well.
That's awesome. So when I first started seeing you, you had a little office in Northport, and then through some divine intuition on your own part, decided to take your whole practice virtual weeks before the whole world shut down with this coronavirus pandemic. And so how has that worked for you? The switching to the online thing?
It's been amazing. And at first, when I made the switch, a lot of my clients were like, no, I want to see you in person. I really enjoy seeing you face to face. But it really works out nicely because we can do video, and it's easy for people to continue seeing me throughout as now their schedules are becoming a little more busy.
Right.
And people can see me from all over, and they don't have to take half the day to come out and do that. I have people coming from all over the island, and some people.
Well, and now you can have people living in Ohio or in Colorado. It doesn't really matter because it's all virtual anyway.
That's right.
So it opens up your practice to almost unlimited possibilities. I mean, it's only 24 hours in a day, so we can't divide you into so many smaller pieces, but that's very exciting. It's cool.
Yeah, and I get to have more time in my schedule, because what used to be, not much, 15 or 20 minutes of commuting Also, opening up the office, closing down the office, that doesn't happen anymore. So I get some more time that I can be more productive.
And you're not paying rent on an office, which helps
there you
too. Right. And more time with your family.
Exactly.
I like it because I don't have to drive the 15 minutes to Northport and back and forth. So it's easier for me. And the parking lot at your place just made me crazy.
It was tight.
It was tight.
Northport is tight. That's for sure.
Northport is tight. So what advice would you give to people who are looking to take more control over their nutrition, or who are looking for stress relief or anxiety relief, as we're all dealing with now in this crazy world, who are looking toward more of a holistic path to personal wellness? What would you suggest to them?
I'll show you. Well, so I used to have this in my office, and I don't know if you can.
Just eat real food.
Yeah. So that's number one, is if we think about how we can incorporate real food, whole food, well, what's the best snack? What's the best snack on the go? Carrots, bell peppers, cucumbers, apples, oranges, bananas, as much whole food and real food that you can eat, your body is going to thank you for it. Now, granted, everybody is different. So there's never, don't just say, okay, I have to eat carrots every day. And then you do, and you don't feel good and say, well, this dietitian told me to do that. Everybody's different. So, some people, and I guess one thing I'll mention is, in my practice, I specialize in gut health and digestion.
Right.
Some people do very well with high fiber diets. Other people do terribly with high fiber diets. So I personalize diets uniquely to you.
Right. Yeah, that was the key for me. There were all sorts of things we found out that I can't tolerate that other people can. And that I was eating because other people were saying those were the things that you should eat. So I'm on a diet. So I'm eating a lot of yogurt and I'm eating salad. And we found out that my body hates those things. Like, no wonder nothing was working. Right.
Exactly. So, overall, the most basic guidance would be eating real food, things that have been unprocessed or just, minimally processed. And then the other thing would be to relax. That's easier said than done. Okay. So,
especially in the world we live in right now.
Completely. We'll touch on, family eating in a minute, but when we're in a rest and digest mode or a stressed mode. Okay. So stress, my girlfriend, I asked her if she's stressed when she eats, and she's like, no, I'm never stressed. She's very laid back. However, she has 3 children under the age of 4 at home. She's got twins and another child. And I'm like, what do you mean you're not how are you not stressed? I know you're stressed, even though you don't think it.
Right.
So there's a difference between like stress that's racking your brain and physical stress where your body is just maybe you're moving around too much. Maybe you're standing up when you're eating. Maybe you're just not breathing because you're inhaling your food so quickly.
Right.
When you're
I used to do all those things when I had little kids.
How can you not? It's hard.
Exactly. The minute you sit down, they want something. So you're up again.
Exactly. When you're stressed and you're eating, all of your blood is going to your extremities so that you can run away from that stressor or help to put out that fire or whatever it is.
Fight thing. Right.
So now there's no energy in your body to actually focus on digestion. Huh. That's where we get indigestion, heartburn, nausea, you might get diarrhea or constipation, but we often see that bloating because you're not digesting properly, because you're in this stressed mood. So whether you're at work on your computer typing away and shoveling in the food, or whether you're at the park or in the backyard with your kids and they're eating and you're just trying to, like, you know, pick up the scraps that are falling on the floor and that's your lunch.
Right.
No matter what that is, if you're not mindful and able to calm down your body, it's going to have a hard time digesting.
Makes sense.
So while I'm on the topic, I have to give you some kind of way to help and solve that problem.
Right.
So my favorite thing is called 4-7-8 breathing.
Okay, I'm writing this down.
And
4-7-8 breathing. Okay, explain this.
You inhale for 4 seconds, you hold it for 7, and you exhale for 8.
Oh, that'll slow you down.
So let's do that together.
Okay.
Okay, and whoever's watching, let's do this so you've done it, and then you can kind of come back to it. It helps you learn it as well. Okay.
Okay. So we're gonna inhale
So
for
I'm
4.
gonna count on with my fingers because I'm gonna be doing it with you. Okay. So we're gonna inhale, hold it, exhale. Okay. So I try to do it with my fingers. You get the gist of it.
Yeah.
Do you feel any different just in those couple seconds?
Slower. Yeah, absolutely.
Just automatically
Just doing it once.
stops you in your tracks and just kind of helps to regroup. So if you do that, 4 times, 8 times, 10 times, even just once, it's going to help slow you down from where you started. That's something you can do when you're driving, when you're cooking, when you're just sit down to eat. And when another trick is saying grace.
Right. Really pull you into the moment and be mindful about it.
Whether you're religious or spiritual or none of the above, giving thanks for your food, it slows you down, it helps you to be mindful. And it's just amazing how we've been doing this as a culture for years and years and years. But how often do you do that on a daily basis, especially if you're at work or with your kids? We tend to forget that. So that's a quick and easy way, a very effective way to improve your digestion and to kind of rebalance.
I did that as a structure when my kids were little. We used to say grace in Hebrew and in English before every dinner. And it was easier when they were kids. It sort of announced like the ceremony of dinner, of the family meal, and got us all focused in on the same thing. It was wonderful. We all loved it. And then sports and scouting and dance class and all this stuff started so that we weren't eating family meals together the same way. And the whole practice went kaflooey. So
exactly.
Maybe we'll do that again. Might just be my husband and I, but that's okay.
That's right.
That's cool. Okay, so what about kids, parents with young children? I know you have very young kids. I have a lot of friends with kids of varying ages. What kind of advice would you give them about trying to train their children to eat more healthy from the beginning, to grow up with healthy habits like you did? I mean, besides holding up the eat real food sign. I mean, there's advertising and other people's kids and various things they might see at school and so on, and they come home with all these ideas about eating things that other families might eat. Like, how do you counteract that?
I would do exactly what I've done my whole life and I've done with my children is, number one, is you have to walk the talk. So by you being a role model, by you eating the way you eat, that is going to help to gently influence your children.
Sure.
And the other thing is having family meals as much as possible. That together is going to pique their interest so that they have more variety in their diet. They don't have to eat the food that, if, let's say, I can talk for days about this, but let's say we have, for dinner, we're having pasta with meat sauce and a salad and asparagus.
Right.
So I would have those foods on the table, and on everyone's plate, this is my method, on everyone's plate goes a little bit of everything. And now my children are 2 and 4, so literally I might just put like a bite of asparagus or a bite of salad on their plate, along with
they're little, right?
Right. But if your child has severe aversions to certain foods, it could just be on the table and available. But the concept is that these are the foods available, and you can choose what you like. And then you shut up.
Ah, okay.
There's no begging or bribing or bargaining. Please eat the asparagus. Just take a bite of it. Come on, have some salad. It's good for you. None of that.
So let it be their decision.
Exactly. Let them become interested. My 2-year-old loves salad. I have no idea why, and I can only guess it's because I eat it, and she's like, I want that.
Right.
So with children's psychology, if they know it's going to make you happy, they're probably not going to do it.
Right. They want to exert their independence as much as they can.
Right. So we just want to take out that emotion, because have you ever been to like on vacation and you go out to eat all the time, and maybe all you have is pasta or sandwiches, and you get home and you just crave like cucumbers or
something, or an apple or something.
Yeah, an apple. Or that happens with children. They're able to self-regulate. So if they eat like 5 boatloads of pasta with meat sauce, and then they're gonna eventually want a little something else. And eventually, that might be in a week, or it might be in a couple years.
Right.
But the last thing with kids is I try to increase their exposure to foods. So cooking with them, sharing foods with them, just sharing in the experience. When kids are in the kitchen, there's no pressure to actually have to try or eat the food. They're more relaxed. They're building up a relationship with it, kind of like meeting a new person. When you meet someone new, you're not going to just, kiss them.
No.
But
get yourself arrested.
But instead, if you hang out with them a little bit, you might have play dates or whatnot, then after a while, you might be like, okay, this is interesting. Let me, I want to spend more time with it. So then, you might get married to that person. Who knows? So I've got tons of tips for, little kids and stuff. And like I said,
I think that the cooking in the kitchen together is a brilliant idea, because the kids genuinely have this innate creativity, and they want to get in there and get their hands dirty, and having them in the process not only teaches them how to cook, but shows them how the relationships between foods and flavors and things, and they might nibble while they're helping, which would be a nice thing too. So I think that's a great idea. I didn't actually do that when my kids were super little, but I see my cousins all doing that with their kids now, and I think it's great.
We play with food play. Who would have thought, okay, you should be playing with your food.
Right.
But we do the Lady and the Tramp thing where, we might take a piece of pasta, and on one end, like each person kind of munches away at it. That works with string beans and asparagus.
And carrots.
And carrots. So, get creative, and the more fun you have with it, the more likely your child is to accept it, and let them accept it at their own pace.
And not be stressed and anxious about food. So you probably circumvent eating disorders and things that way too, because they have a healthy relationship from the get-go.
Exactly.
And mirroring good body image. I think as women, we are plagued by other people's views about our own bodies, which has to psychologically get in there with our relationship with food.
I first noticed it, well, of course, as a kid, which is terrible. Yeah. But when I was pregnant, people always comment on your body. Oh, you're so small. Oh, you're so big. Oh, you're so this and that. And it's like,
Go
really?
away. Right. This is not up for you to judge or make a comment about.
Because both of the, being big and being small, that could be equally as harmful to
Sure.
somebody. And in my house, I try not to make comments about appearances. I'll tell my children they're beautiful and whatnot, but I really try to keep it to other kind of compliments.
Sure.
And people in my mom knows never to mention the word fat when it comes to talking about our body. If we say fat, it's because we're talking about butter or oil.
Right. Right.
And we don't talk about weight. We don't talk about diets. None of that. I won't allow it because I don't want that to be.
Yeah. See,
Anywhere.
I had thought that I was having that sort of mindset with my own daughter, but now that she's 19 and we've had a lot of conversations about it, I realized that I failed utterly in this regard because she's got all these, like I have all these unresolved body issues. She has her own, and she's thin and healthy and works out and is anxious about her relationship with food. And we're both sort of working to correct that and swing the pendulum the other way, each of us in our own way. And she's almost grown a female adult at this point. So, it's really important.
A good question to ask is, how does that food make you feel?
Right.
Because after you eat something, are you hungry right after it? Do you feel energized? Is it refreshing?
Does it make you feel sick?
Does it make you feel happy? Right.
Right.
All those things. So if, a lot of time, you might go out and, get ice cream or something and be like, oh, that did not sit well.
No, like we're talking about later. I have this memory of loving ice cream. And then I went out with my husband last week and he had this huge thing that he was so happy with, and I'm eating it. And I'm like, I didn't like it at all. My taste buds have changed because I haven't had it in so long. I didn't enjoy it. So now that's going to be the memory and I'm not going to eat it anymore.
So everyone has their own feelings when it comes to certain foods. And,
right.
I try to remind my daughter, she loves food. So, she went to a birthday party a few months ago and she was the last one eating there. She was just eating pizza like it was her job. And because we never eat pizza at home for, food sensitivity reasons. And I asked her how it made her feel. And on the ride home, she's like, oh, my tummy hurts. And I'm like, well, that's interesting to notice, maybe you had too much of this, or, so trying to just make those connections. Sure. So they can, next time, that they can enjoy the pizza because they didn't overeat.
Right, have one slice instead of 8.
Exactly. The experience is to be able to enjoy your food. And that happens when you are mindful about eating and you're in the moment and you don't feel guilty and you don't put guilt on yourself for having eaten something.
Exactly. There's too much guilt that we're feeling based on other people's expectations and the expectations that we've internalized for ourselves about our own bodies. And, too big, too small, too fat, too thin, too short, too tall, too whatever, based on the one body type that's supposed to be beautiful and attractive.
Exactly.
Very few of us look like that. In fact, I don't think even the models themselves look like that.
It's true.
So it's completely unrealistic. We should love the bodies that we're in and enjoy taking care of them.
Exactly.
Because that's what we got. Okay, so I read a thing very briefly last night about this one other supposed nutritional expert was talking about good foods and bad foods. Do you think there's such thing as particularly good foods or particularly bad foods? I think I know the answer to this based on my knowledge of you, but
I get that question a lot. No, not at all. I was talking to someone the other day and she said, well, I eat a banana every day and I love them, but my husband tells me it's making me fat. Like bananas are fattening. There's no such thing. Good foods are what make you feel good.
Right.
So to say that, there are good foods and bad foods, you know, you can really argue that. You can say, well, Doritos are bad foods because they're highly processed and whatnot. But if you eat a Dorito and you feel so happy and, you know, you're good with it and you can eat them and enjoy it, that's
Without
okay.
eating the entire bag, you know.
Right. Because then when you do eat the entire bag, you feel like, oh my God, this is awful. Why did I do it? And then maybe you have, you know, cramps or whatever. Maybe you don't feel anything. But
But you have the
overall,
knowledge that you shouldn't have eaten the whole bag. Right.
and yeah, and that even sours it, right? Like even if you physically felt fine, and then you tell yourself, well, you know, you're bad for eating the whole bag, then that just kind of ruins the experience.
Sure.
So that's unfortunate. Um, so I'd say really eat foods that make you feel good. And that usually comes down to a nice balance of foods.
Sure.
You know, there's a book, it's called Intuitive Eating, and it's written by two dietitians. It's a fabulous book. It's a great place to start if you really have no footing. It really helps to kind of balance where you are, and you can always move on from there.
I think I
But
bought it and it's sitting on my desk. In fact, I think I can see it, but I haven't read it yet.
it's it's so great. It's liberating because it helps you to figure out what feels good when you're eating. And you know, some people have gone their whole lives not knowing what that's like.
I'll put the not only your contact information, but the information about that book below us in the video.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Okay.
All right. I am running out of time, but I think we're about done.
Yeah, I think we're about done. So thank you very much for being a guest here at on this video, and I think this has been really fun. Thank you for coming and hanging out
Thank
with us.
you. I love everything about this, and good luck to your book. I can't wait to get my own copy.
Thank you. Yeah, it's available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and anywhere books are sold, and also at my website, marcybrockman.com. And I have a second book coming out, which is an expressive writing journal, guided writing journal, that it's actually available on Barnes & Noble, but not quite Amazon yet because I uploaded it wrong yesterday. But it's also called Permission to Land, but the subtitle is different. It's Personal Transformation Through Writing. And so it's over 100 pages of guided writing prompts to take someone on the same journey I went on writing my memoir within their own life. So
I'm most excited about that.
Yeah, it's very cool. I'm excited. It's available on a digital version too through my website, but I think most people prefer to write longhand and have that like pen to paper brain connection. So so I decided to make a paperback out of it also. So anyway, thank you, Marina. This has been super fun, and I'll see you in a couple weeks, and hopefully everyone enjoys the video.
Thank you. Bye,
Thank you
Marcy.
for joining. Bye, honey.